Nerdrotic.com.
Everything's coming up. Disney Star Wars Celebration just ended 10 days ago.
Oh!
I know, it's hard to believe. And the Mandalorian season finale is upon us, and you can feel the complete and total apathy. Now, wait a minute. I'm not afraid to admit I'm wrong. I'm sure there are 5s and 10s of people out there positively giddy with anticipation for former Harvey Weinstein assistant Leslie Headland's The Acolyte, yet another Disney Star Wars series with a female lead that takes inspiration from Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi.
He's not wrong.
And I'm positive that what's left of the Disney Star Wars fan base is beside themselves with glee after listening to the actors from former Harvey Weinstein assistant Leslie Headland's Acolyte series display their Star Wars knowledge.
I mean, the best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil. It depends on what side you're standing on.
What? What the
So my character, you know, she's a powerful leader. She's a powerful leader. Yes. In a very woman-centered world, which I was very excited to kind of be that, because I feel like Star Wars is very like patriarchal, so it was kind of cool to have like this sort of woman-centered figure.
And I'm doubly sure what's left of the Disney Star Wars fan base feels inspired and empowered by the Ahsoka series, which is essentially good women versus evil men. But you know what really fired up what's left of the Disney Star Wars fan base that in the very near future will have trouble filling up your average short bus? More film announcements from the honest, credible, and reliable Kathleen Kennedy.
I'm constantly reminding people none of this exists.
That's true.
Including what might have been interpreted as a mic drop moment, but that was actually the last glimmer of hope leaving the hearts of the Disney Star Wars fans, the return of Rey Palpatine. Well, not to be outdone, Kathleen Kennedy is going to get the last word and the last laugh, and in this case, the last nod when she confirmed that Luke Skywalker, the hero of generations, is simply a cautionary tale.
Yeah, and you mentioned Luke, and I think he almost seemed like almost a cautionary tale. Almost a cautionary tale.
Almost a cautionary tale.
I'm sure everyone who worked at Disney and Lucasfilm felt that celebration leading into the Mandalorian finale would be one giant collective Disney Star Wars orgasm. Instead, it ended up being a fart in the wind. So join me, you over 731,000 lovely people out there, and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. Let's go over the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, or The Blandalorian, or The Mamdalorian, or The Womandalorian, whatever the hell it is. I can't wait to not watch this again. The penultimate episode was called Spies, which led to a lot of fan theories. Was the Girl Boss Armorer a spy? Was the Girl Boss former wrestler, whose name I can't be bothered to remember, a spy? Was Grogu a spy? Nope, none of them were spies. It ended up being a spy. The girl from season 2, whose name I can't be bothered to remember. And she was only in the first couple of minutes. And guess what? Big surprise, Moff Gideon is back. And then this is shortly followed by a meeting of the Shadow Council, or what I like to call a Disney board meeting. I mean, there was a lot of talk about not-so-secret agendas, including discussing a project that completely sets up Snoke and the Emperor called Project Necromancer. Why didn't you just call it Project, we're going to tell you exactly what we're doing, or Project Somehow Palpatine Returned? They even mentioned Thrawn, but whoa, if this is way too much information for you that quite frankly they could have put in the first episode, they slow things down quite a bit. The Mandalorian fleet slowly flies over Galaxy's Edge, followed by a long, slow landing, followed by long, slow walks down ramps, followed by leering stares between 2 tribes with masks on. This, of course, is supposed to build tension between the 2 tribes who haven't been in contact with each other for quite some time, and it all ends when Mom says it's time for dinner. Then Apollo Creed tells the stuntman, who was voice acted by Pedro Pascal, that he got cute little Baby Yoda an IG-11 exoskeleton that can say yes or no in the voice of "I'll ruin your mythos in a minute, baby," Taika Waititi. What, that's not how you say it? Of course, cute little Baby Yoda hits the yes and no button over and over again, and this is our cutesy pootsy scene where all the ladies in the audience make all the noises they make when they see puppies and babies. To be fair to the ladies, there are some dudes making those noises too, but I've got I got nothing for that. This is Disney Star Wars now. Stuntman number 2 and the drain on Yoda's bank account walk around a slightly more crowded Galaxy's Edge. And I can hear you out there, dear viewer. I know exactly what you're thinking. It must be time for another boring moron DeLorean meeting led by a girl boss. And you'd be right. You know, I just remembered something. What happened to those pterodactyl foundlings that Girl Boss Bo-Katan handed over to the Girl Boss Armorer? Oh, Girl Boss Bo-Katan gets her volunteers to go scout Mandalore in preparation for retaking it, and then she decides to take the whole damn fleet with her anyway. Head you off in the comments section. Yes, I know you cannot communicate when you're on the surface, but it would make no difference if the rest of the fleet was in the atmosphere or at Galaxy's Edge. It's not like they didn't have a problem with something like that before. Like when Din Djarin was going to go take a bath and he got caught by Old One-Eye, and then he sent baby Frank Oz back to Bo-Katan's planet in his ship, and then they got in Bo-Katan's ship and flew back to Mandalore so she could save Din Djarin from Old One-Eye. Or when Boba Fett 2.0's kid got taken by the pterodactyl and Bo-Katan got in her ship, flew out to the lair, flew back to the super secret Mandalorian location to tell the Mandalorians she knew where the kid was but didn't have him. Girl bossed a hunting party, went back to the lair, had dinner, had breakfast, did some yoga, and then Din Djarin saved the kid and Bo-Katan got the credit. Anyway, I think I've made my point. So this is followed by a very slow landing and a very slow walk off a ramp. Why am I telling you this? Because this is how the show is paced. At this point, Disney analytics dictate it's time for some pirates, and we get Mandalorian pirates who survive the purge somehow. Once again, it's time to pump those brakes, slow things down a bit, and have a nice long dump while sitting around a table. We learn that during the night of 1,000 tears, Bo-Katan did indeed surrender to Moff Gideon, and then she got screwed over and everybody got killed anyway. Just in case you were wondering whose story this is now, it is the Mandalorian. Don't believe me? One of the Mandalorian producers said it himself. Mandalorian producer confirms Din Djarin is no longer the only main character. Who is the Mandalorian at this point? And so I think it could be anyone. And I think that's what they're trying to define in many ways. It's what does it mean to be a Mandalorian? And even after all that, if you're still questioning whose show this is, the submissive basically pledges his submission to the girl boss.
Your song is not yet written. I will serve you until it is.
Also in this scene, Din Djarin gives Girl Boss a little pep talk, and I'm paraphrasing here, basically saying we've been driven from our homes and we always rebuild, we always fight back, which led the Mary Sue to write this. Does that mean Bo-Katan is Moses? That would be so Disney to gender swap an Old Testament character. Anyway, it's time to get back on the pirate ship and finally get to business and get down to that Mandalorian forge. While they're on the pirate ship, little baby Yoda and his IG-11 exoskeleton has to break up a fight between two toxic males. And right after that, it looks like those Disney analytics haven't had enough dinosaurs yet. The moron DeLoreans abandon ship and head down into the mines of Moria. Into the Forge of Mandalore, where they are immediately ambushed by Mandalorian stormtroopers in Beskar armor, toxic male Mandalorians able to escape to bring reinforcements in the next episode. And of course, it was always a trap. Din Djarin gets separated and caught by Boba Fring, or Darth Fring, and this is absolute cringe. I mean, this is a show with a knockoff Boba Fett walking around with a knockoff Yoda in a knockoff IG-88 skin, fighting a knockoff Boba Fett and knockoff Darth Vader mashup. It's creatively bankrupt Inception. And the news gets worse. Just in case you didn't think all roads lead to Jake Skywalker, Boba Fett 2.0 gets killed by Last Jedi guards. Hey, it's the next episode, so toxic male Mando can now get the reinforcements. Now, I was convinced our Manzel in distress Din Djarin was going to get saved by Bo-Katan, but surprise, surprise, he gets saved by the Muppet in the IG-88 cosplay. Din Djarin and little baby Yoda walk around what totally doesn't look like a Death Star looking for Moff Gideon, and R5-D4 magically shows up to assist stuntman number 2 in 99% of Disney Star Wars toy merchandising, as they try to get through a very elaborate and unnecessary amount of shields that have no chance of holding up. And guess what? With the help of Deus Ex R5-D4, the voice actor Pedro Pascal, and little baby Yoda bot managed to fight off all the guards behind the very elaborate and unnecessary amount of shields that had no chance of holding up. And after that, we finally get the answer to the big mystery that's been drawn out this entire season. Clones. Moff Gideon clones. And I tell you, there is nothing more formidable than the clone of a 64-year-old man. And what does Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and the Lucasfilm Story Group do after drawing this mystery out the entire season? Kill them all and leave. Meanwhile, toxic male Mandalorian sends all the reinforcements to go help girl boss Bo-Katan. Then he's going to take the capital ship, which he's supposed to use as a decoy, and crash it. But don't worry, the crash will take about as much time as it took for the Skybase to crash in Black Widow. You have to admire Disney's storytelling is consistently crap across brands. Bo-Katan and the surviving Mandalorians were able to escape the mines of Moria, the Forge of Mandalore, and hang out in a Genesis cave until the reinforcements came. Then the girl bosses take their Mandalorian boy toys and go back into battle. Bo-Katan with her dark saber, the former female wrestler whose name I can't be bothered to remember with her blaster, and the armorer with her hammer. Now, there's been a lot of cringe this season, but this scene has to be in the top 3 while hunting down Din Djarin and little baby Yoda in his robot suit. Boba Fett does some pretty serious monologuing, and it looks like there's a little more to that excellent collection of 64-year-old clones. Turns out these clones that are eligible for AARP also had the Force. And 2, all roads lead to Jake Skywalker and somehow Palpatine returning.
The best parts of me, but improved by adding the one thing I never had. The Force.
That's not how the Force works.
I don't have to tell you how stupid that is because you're a smart viewer, but feel free to elaborate in the comments section below. While little baby Yoda's trying to escape from the last Jedi guards and Din Djarin is trying to fight off Boba Fett, you knew there was enough time for Bo-Katan to save him.
I've got this.
Remember the dark saber? Remember how important it was for this series? All the theories, all the speculation? Well, it just gets broken. Finally, Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, little baby Yoda team up to fight the evil Boba Fett, and Bo-Katan decides to steal a line from the ill-fated Hillary Clinton election campaign.
Mandalorians are weak once they lose their trinkets.
Mandalorians are stronger together.
Been about 30 minutes, so the ship finally crashes, and little baby Yoda saves Bo-Katan and Din Djarin with the Force as Boba Fett burns. That's right, no Ahsoka, no Thrawn, no digital Princess Leia, or de-aged Han Solo, or Luke Skywalker. Just your garden variety Disney Star Wars anticlimactic ending that puts this season out of its misery. The girl bosses go to girl boss on Mandalore. Stuntman number 2 is voice acted by Pedro Pascal, decides to adopt Baby Yoda, who is now Din Grogu. Now, there was no official paperwork. Din Djarin just said, I'll adopt him, and the armorer said, okay. And they go off to live in a modest home in the Galaxy's Edge parking lot. What a complete waste of time. If you haven't seen it, don't. You'll be much better off. Again, this show is a bland series of task-oriented events masquerading as a story with dialogue slightly less sophisticated than your average porn clip. We are way past Star Wars fatigue, and I would argue we are way past Star Wars is dead and well into apathy. And that is a good thing, and I'll say it one more time. I can't wait to never watch this show again, but I don't really care. Star Wars has been dead to me for a very long time. I'm just keeping a promise from videos I made years ago. I am here to chronicle its demise. Things are so bad for Disney Star Wars right now, it's being outdone by Star Trek Picard of all shows. Not with minutes watched or any of that streaming bullshit, with pleasing your audience, pleasing the fans, the paying customer. Terry Matalas with Star Trek Picard Season 3 was able to pull off what no one at any previous Kurtzman Trek, the Chibnall era of Doctor Who, and absolutely no one could pull off at Disney Star Wars for the almost 11 years they've owned the product. Show respect to the legacy characters and get them all in one place for a scene. And this can't be undersold. Terry Matalas in Star Trek Picard Season 3 managed to pull off what Star Wars wouldn't. They got the crew of the USS Enterprise D back together on the USS Enterprise D, and Star Wars couldn't manage to get Han, Luke, and Leia in a scene together. And now Disney Star Wars and D+'s flagship show, The Mandalorian, just got humiliated. But credit where credit is due. You have to work awfully hard to be this bad, and you have to be led by a special kind of delusional narcissist to want to double, triple, and quadruple down on the failure. Now, earlier on in the video, you did hear that Disney Star Wars confirmed that within their universe, Luke Skywalker is a cautionary tale. And I'm here to tell you, once all of this Disney Star Wars drivel is over and forgotten, the only cautionary tale will be about Kathleen Kennedy. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, thanks for listening this long. I'll see you in the next video.
Nerdrotic.com.
I've got this.